Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Welcome to Rebel News Live at noon today for our daily live stream. I'm Andrew. She's Sheila. Sheila, why don't you tell us what we're doing here today?
Okay. First off, Justin, I cannot see the stream on the Skype feed. I can wing it, and I'm fine with that, but it would be helpful if I could see what was going on. This is the daily live stream. It used to just be on Fridays. Ezra used to host it. It was sort of like a stream of consciousness show with Ezra Levant. But then the pandemic hit. Everybody was stuck at home. Rebel News was sort of grounded also. We normally had reporters traveling all over the place. We couldn't do that anymore. And there was more news than ever before, even though the mainstream media and especially the CBC decided to cut back on local reporting. We thought, let's crank it up. And so every weekday, we have an hour of live stream. For me, it's 10 a.m. out here in God's country. In the center of the universe, it's noon. And you can eat your lunch and have a little visit with today is myself and Andrew. Sometimes it's me and David. Sometimes it's the boss on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And it's a great chance for us to catch up on the news of the day, catch up with each other. I'm sort of looking forward to today because I don't often get to work directly with Andrew, and it's kind of fun. And it gives you a chance to support the work that we do in a couple of different ways. First of all, you can leave a comment in the live chat, which is something you really can't do in mainstream media anymore. They don't like to have any feedback from us unwashed masses, just the people who give them the bailout bucks. They don't want to hear from us. So that's fun. And I love the live chat because I always go back and read it. Some of you guys are pretty darn funny. And I like to see the little community that grows around the work that we do. But you can also do something called a super chat. Now, YouTube takes some of the money. It's their platform. I get it. I think the portion that they take, it's a little steep. It's like consignment store kind of money there. But we get the bulk of it. And if you go to the bottom of the live chat, there's a little dollar sign. If you click on that, you can donate some money to us. You can give us more, you can give us less, but the more money you give, the more characters you get. And that'll highlight your query, comment, question, story idea. It'll highlight it, pin it to the top of the screen, and Andrew or I will address it. We'll do our best to answer it. And it's just a great way for you to sort of democratize the show. You can support us in this way, but also you can sort of direct the direction of the show. And sometimes our super chatters sort of put David and I in the ditch for a while and we go over time. But if you're going to super chat us, we'll keep answering them.
I would love to see the live chats for some sort of CBC or CP24 broadcast. We've seen them recently, how they work with live TV with Chris Sky. That doesn't go so well. We can start off with something that's happening right now, Sheila, in Etobicoke, which is the west end of Toronto, where a restaurant is defying the odds. I don't know if we can pull that up right now, Justin, from some Twitter videos, but a restaurant is defying provincial lockdown orders and opening full bore. People are sans masks there. They're indoor dining, which you're not allowed to do in the COVID apocalypse. And we've got it from Joe Warmington, I believe, is who's doing it.
Yeah.
He's got the live footage here that we're looking at. So this is the cops coming, well, not live, but it's happening as we speak. The cops came into the restaurant. They didn't seem to stop it right away. I'm not sure. How recent was this video, Justin? So he's been live tweeting. He's been tweeting videos from there all morning, Sheila. That one was 3 minutes ago, I'm told. We've got people on the scene as well. Oh my God, they're dining without masks.
Look at all that delicious freedom. Look at that. Of course, there's the guy in a camouflage shirt there. I love that there's all these people, like they're lined up to eat and enjoy freedom and support these businesses that just refuse to go under because of the lockdown. And really, that's the choice they're making. We can go back into this hard lockdown and never be open again.
David Menzies.
Oh, there's David. I can see his little Panama hat or whatever the heck that is. And the cops are there. Like, imagine the cops showing up because you're doing some unauthorized eating. That's the state of John Tory's Toronto and Doug Ford's Ontario. Both of them supposed to be right-of-center politicians. It's gross.
I wonder if that's Doug Ford's exact riding where he used to represent. I know he's from Etobicoke. It would be very ironic he was there. And I see cameraman Lincoln there. He tells me in those situations when police or security is involved, he just focuses behind the lens and he's not even there. He's just looking through a window. So shout out to Lincoln and David Menzies, which means, of course, we'll have a story from them very soon. And speaking of good stories that came out just today, there's so much stuff that's coming out today that is both hilarious, interesting, whatever you want to call it. Sheila pointed out to me that there's a prank call against Justin Trudeau that happened where, is it the same Russian pranksters that got Adam Schiff to say hilarious things? I don't know. I don't know if that can be confirmed, but they called as Greta Thunberg, everyone's favorite girl Greta. We know Kian loves her. And they got Trudeau to basically suck up to her and thank her for everything. Is there anything I'm missing from that, Sheila?
No, I think that's pretty well it. Also, I think Justin Trudeau thinks Terrence and Philip from South Park are real people because he didn't even pick up on the joke that these Russian pranksters were making.
That, did they?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if Justin, if you have video of that exchange. Okay, great. Why don't we roll it?
Prime Minister Trudeau, Ms. Thunberg, please go ahead.
Hello, Greta.
Oh, hello, Prime Minister. Hello. So I won't take up much of your time. So I understand that you have a lot of work and have not so much time to talk to young girl. But I'm very concerned about growing international crisis and the anticipation of the Third World War. It already leads to disaster consequences. It's very scary.
Yes, indeed, and that is why in the many phone calls I've been able to have over the past week, we've talked an awful lot about the need to de-escalate, and on all sides, people want to see a reduction of tensions. That's obvious, but sometimes the compromises or the steps they'll have to take to get to a reduction of tensions is a big step for them. So I've been trying to do what I can to encourage them to actually really look at how they can be part of a movement towards peace, because we do not need this kind of conflict or these kinds of tensions to continue to escalate or even worse, to spread around the world.
You know,
I think he said,
What
I
tensions?
do not need. Did he say donut there?
He said, I do not need. And he doesn't, like, she's talking about World War III, and he's talking about it like it's actually on the verge of happening. Instead of that Trump has made the world an excessively safer place and tensions are de-escalating around the world, but more specifically in the Middle East, where, you know, you sort of think that World War III is going to come from. But he should have known he was being pranked when somebody said to him, thank you, Prime Minister. I know you have a lot of work to do and not too much time to talk to a young girl. Like, he'll always make time to talk to a young girl, and give me a break. Not, you've got so much work to do. I don't know when they did this, but it was probably when he was holed up in the cottage there, not doing much of anything except smoking dope and sitting around in his pajamas until he shuffled outside to answer 15 minutes worth of questions every day. But yeah, I mean, how do you get Justin Trudeau on the line like that? Does he not have anybody competent working for him that could have screened this call? Like, I don't even know how the call happened.
When Greta calls, you answer, Sheila. He didn't even sound that interested. He didn't sound like he was paying attention. But to not know who Terrence and Philip are, I was trying to look up while that was on there how South Park portrays Justin Trudeau. I'm pretty sure they've done it because Mr. Garrison is Trump. I don't know if we can find that. But well, the way they make fun of Canada, like we've got so many weird traditions, like the royal wedding was a really good one where they dipped their hands in butterscotch. That was a timed tradition for Canada. Why don't you transition us to the Meng Wanzhou story here? I know you wanted to talk about that and about how some left-leaning individuals wanted to free, I keep forgetting the first name, Meng Wanzhou. So many China stories right now.
Sure. We've got it up on our website right now. Free Meng Wanzhou Zoom event to feature NDP and Green Party MPs. So let's read this together. Several left-wing groups have joined to present a 2-hour event entitled Free Meng Wanzhou later this evening with speakers including 2 federal members of parliament. Free her from what? She's under house arrest in a multi-million-dollar mansion. Free her from what? Let's talk about freeing the 2 Michaels. Canadian police arrested Meng Wanzhou, the chief financial officer for the giant Chinese tech company called Huawei, at the request of the United States 2 years ago. U.S. officials wanted Meng for a variety of financial crimes, including fraud, violating sanctions against Iran, and, of course, as Huawei is known to do, steal trade secrets. 2 Canadians, Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig, were kidnapped by Beijing in what they freely admit is a tit-for-tat for the arrest of Meng. Speakers at the Zoom event include John Philpott, Atif Kubersi, Kathy Walker, KJ No, as well as NDP MP Nikki Ashton and Green Party MP Paul Manley. According to the event page, in anticipation of the 2nd anniversary of this poor little darling's arrest, join our online panel discussion to free Meng Wanzhou, unjustly incarcerated by the Trudeau government at the request of the Trump administration. You'll learn more from Canadian experts about her legal case, deteriorating relations with China, and the rise of xenophobia. Oh, they're inventing more phobias in Canada, plus what you can do about it. The event's hosts are listed as the Canadian Foreign Policy Institute, the Canadian Peace Congress, Just Peace Advocates, the Hamilton Coalition to Stop the War, and World Beyond War. I love how all these like peace activist groups are so Orwellianly named, because it's not about peace or peace through power or peace through, negotiations or anything like that. It's like peace through complete and total submission to a tyrannical superpower, and just like you'll just be a fancy bird in a gilded cage of the Chinese government. This is gross, though. Nikki Ashton, though, there's not anything that she's on the right side of. She goes to these Nakba Day protests, which is what the pro-Palestinian side of the debate calls the founding of the state of Israel, the catastrophe. That's what they call it. She goes to those and marches on the side of the people who call the founding of a free state for the people of Israel a catastrophe. So, it's really no surprise that she's here protesting and advocating to get Meng Wanzhou freed. And they're worried about the deterioration of the relations between us and China, even though they've kidnapped 2 Canadians. Maybe she might want to worry about the deterioration of our relationship with the United States if we let somebody like Meng Wanzhou just go free and ignore our treaty obligations.
The NDP has come up with even weirder stances on things through the pandemic. Jagmeet Singh, the things he talks about and the thing this party positions themselves off of, it's like they don't have any of their own position. They just have a communist view of things that are already going on that don't have anything to do with them. And one example I can give is they don't have a problem with the shutdowns. They don't have a problem with businesses being shut down or locked down. They say that during the lockdown, we need to raise taxes on businesses so that they have to pay for the smaller businesses. So they don't see any suffering in this at all. They just see it as an opportunity to tax the businesses that are open. It's not these businesses' fault that they're still open. Everyone wants to stay open. It's the government's fault for, how about not making them close and not taxing these people? I don't know, Sheila. And you mentioned Palestine and how wonderful they are. Their official media, I don't know if it's their official, but one of their state media broadcasters was tweeting out the anniversary of a suicide bomber the other day, saying that she's a great martyr. And it's been 2 years since she entered martyrdom by blowing herself up, which is always a celebratory thing on Twitter, I guess. And that's allowed somehow. But Sidney Powell, for example, not allowed. Something else that's happening right now that we just uncovered, I don't know if we just uncovered it, but Ezra Levant pointed it out. I tweeted it out earlier today, and if it's true, it's truly, I don't know if anything's shocking anymore, Sheila, but if it's true that this is shocking, that CTV, I believe it was the National, mentioned in a segment about a week ago that I think it was 98.5% of deaths in Canada from COVID are from staff and residents of long-term care homes. So they posted a number on their segment, which was, I think, 10,700 something out of almost 11,000, and that works out to 98.5%. If we can show that clip, of course, it sounds like they may have made a mistake. We don't know until they confirm it. CTV, get back to me. What are you doing? Justin, can we play that?
Troubling aspects of the second wave is the resurgence of COVID in long-term care homes, where the virus is finding most of its victims. Today, Quebec promised $100 million for home care and care workers' wages. Since the start of the pandemic, close to 11,000 Canadians have died, and more than 10,500 of them were seniors and staff in long-term care, with most of the facilities in Quebec and Ontario.
So not only does that mean that over 98% of the deaths would be in long-term care homes, the vast majority would be in Quebec and Ontario, which means why is, as Sheila calls it, God country facing restrictions, Sheila. It's a lot of S's. Restrictions, Sheila.
It's just one thing I want to correct you on. You said that it was the National, but it's CTV National News. Don't worry, nobody watches either one of those shows, the National on CBC or CTV's National News. It's fine. If you confuse them, nobody watches them, nobody cares. That was Sandy Ronaldo, who I'm happy to see hasn't given up on herself during the pandemic, because Lisa Laflamme kind of has. She let her hair go gray, and it's, whatever. We're all coping with the lockdown differently, but I don't know if Lisa Laflamme is coping as well as the rest of us. But yeah, it looks like, and I'm highly skeptical of those numbers, because that would mean that like approximately 200 deaths occurred outside of long-term care facilities or staff at long-term care facilities. We know that that's where the majority of the deaths are coming from, but is it really that high? I'm skeptical. However, we do know in Alberta that only 10 people without comorbidities, so being overweight, diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer, immune compromised people, just 10 people have died in Alberta that didn't have comorbidities. So again, I mean, I'm skeptical of CTV's numbers, but at the same time, Alberta's doing this sort of reporting and saying like, okay, we've had, a few hundred deaths, just 10 are people that probably wouldn't have died eventually. Thanks, Justin, for bringing that up. You look at this. This is reporting also that isn't being done or isn't being divulged by other reporting and other regional, provincial reporting, or even municipalities. Toronto used to give out this sort of detailed information. They're just not doing it anymore. They stopped doing it. And I think it has something to do with the fact that we were constantly using it. Like Ezra was going through it almost every single day. Then one day they made the switch to no longer report this, because I guess it just doesn't support the narrative. Like you see those numbers, you see 10 healthy people in Alberta out of 4.5 million of us have come down with this disease and died. How does that justify these large-scale mask mandates? They're anticipating going into further restrictions today. We've been one of the freest places in the country. I hope it stays that way. That might change today. Time will tell. But Toronto quit reporting these sorts of numbers, and I think it had something to do with us. And I have a story coming out about how we're trying to find out about how that decision was made and what John Tory's government is trying to do to stop us. It's going to blow your mind. It's crazy. But you're going to have to stay tuned.
And we know John Tory is a very reasonable man. When David Menzies talked to him recently, he said that it was our fault that trouble was caused at Nathan Phillips Square, not the communist squatters who pitched tents at City Hall for weeks. It was us who instigated. We went there and we asked to be punched in the face. We asked to have the security harass us and trespass us. But the number that was been going around a few months ago, as reported by CBC, I believe was 82% of deaths were in long-term care homes. So still, even at 82%, that's a pretty high percentage of the actual entirety of the death count. And that, of course, is due to mismanagement as well. And we see that with places like New York and New Jersey, who did the same thing, where they mismanaged health facilities. So if you were to subtract those, then the numbers would be even lower. So wait to see. If you guys want to go check that out on our Twitter, my Twitter and Rebel's Twitter, more retweets we get on that, I'm assuming that CTV is going to have to correct the record. I would assume that silence is compliance, Sheila. I believe that's the motto for Alberta.
Yeah.
But if they don't correct it, or if they do correct it, I want to see where they got the study from, or if they just made it simple, they added an extra zero or something, and it should be 1,000 instead of 10,000. But we'll see about that. Speaking of Toronto, though, David went down to the Distillery District to do some reporting because they were mandating masks outside on what they claim is private property. Doesn't make that much sense. It has street signs, and when David pointed out that there are street signs, they didn't say that those aren't real streets. They didn't say those are just fun signs. They said that this is private property, and who shovels the snow here? It's not the city, it's us. And then David Menzies says, well, I shovel the snow off the sidewalk in front of my house, and that doesn't mean it's my property either. And he's like, good point. So he kind of screwed himself a little bit there. Justin, can we show a clip of that in the meantime?
Warning. Censorship.
You look at the exemptions, you can see the outdoor cafeterias. The rules are, if you're seated, not standing or walking around, and you're eating or drinking, you do not have to wear a mask. So it's almost as though they're suggesting the virus knows when you need to eat and drink and it won't infect you. Does that make sense to you?
Not at all. None of this makes sense, okay? The smart people, the people that critically think, or just take a moment to think for like 2 seconds, should realize that this is not right, this is bullshit. And yeah, it's not like the virus has a brain and says, oh, wait a minute, we're going to not infect you right now, and when you take off your mask and sit down, we're going to infect you. It doesn't make any sense.
You don't need to do it this way. But can you mind stop filming? I see people filming everywhere right now.
They're approved.
You have to be seated if you take your mask off to eat or drink. Just not in my face. David Menzies for Rebel News here in Toronto. And folks, before I get to our story today, if you can, please go to journalistdefensefund.com. Sometimes we have to hire lawyers, sometimes it's bodyguards, but it's worth it when it comes to bringing you the other side of the story. Well, I am at the Distillery District. It's a really delightful kind of quasi-European area of Toronto. It's an outdoor market. There are inside retailers as well. We're on a cobblestone roadway right now. But the Distillery District is in the news because effective immediately, masks are mandatory not just inside the retailer stores here, but in the great outdoors. And I know what you're saying, folks. What makes the outdoors great when you have to mask up? Well, the latest installment of Mask Mania, or Mask Madness, if you will, has come to the Distillery District. The people operating the Distillery District released a press release yesterday, and it says this: the numbers of COVID-19 cases in Toronto are going up, and when we get warm days, we are seeing an influx of people just showing up and strolling around. So we wanted to take the indoor mask policy by public health, put it in our outdoor environment, and encourage all our patrons and employees to wear masks to keep us all safe, end quote. And that was from Distillery Historic District General Manager Elena Price. If you are seated and eating and drinking, but not standing or walking around eating and drinking, you do not have to wear your mask. So yeah, I guess the Wuhan virus does not affect you when it realizes that you need food or liquid refreshment. What a super intelligent virus this is. I think we might all be doomed after all. Anyways, let's see what the folks have to say about this mandatory mask rule. you have to wear a mask outdoors in the Distillery District. What do you make of that?
I think it's bullshit.
You look at the exemptions, you can see the outdoor cafeterias. The rules are, if you're seated, not standing or walking around, and you're eating or drinking, you do not have to wear a mask. So it's almost as though they're suggesting the virus knows when you need to eat and drink and it won't infect you. Does that make sense to you?
Not at all. None of this makes sense, okay? The smart people, the people that critically think, or just take a moment to think for like 2 seconds, should realize that this is not right, this is bullshit. And yeah, it's not like the virus has a brain and says, oh, wait a minute, we're going to not infect you right now, and when you take off your mask and sit down, we're going to infect you. It doesn't make any sense.
And yet, ma'am, I'm looking around, I would say maybe, 95% of the people are compliant. They're wearing these masks in the outdoors.
Yeah, I mean, I heard about the policy yesterday, and I said, screw it, I'm going to go regardless with my people, and I'm going to hopefully get in, and if I don't, I'm going to try and burst my way in. Like, it's not going to stop me. We need people like us, we need people like me, and just to like hold our ground, and hopefully that will create some change and some awareness, but if not, then we're all screwed.
Even outdoors, you're supposed to be wearing a mask. Well, I'm not telling you to wear a mask, I'm just asking what you think about it.
No, I don't think it's a bad idea at all.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, it's respect for one another, I think.
The law of unintended consequences, I was merely asking these folks what they thought about the masking rule, and it caused the lady to mask up. I wasn't by any means trying to mandate that, but oh well, such is the world we live in. Oh, we're oh, okay. Oh, I don't mean to take it. Actually, you know what? You know the rule. You can eat and drink your Sprite and your croissant. But you don't have to wear a mask when you're eating and drinking.
I appreciate that. Do you have a permit or?
A permit?
Yeah, to be on site, to shoot.
Oh, we're just doing journalism here, sir.
Okay, yeah, no, so it's private property, so you can't shoot here, that's all.
This is private property? I mean,
it is actually, yeah.
But there's street names here, right?
Oh,
I mean,
no, it's like it's the setup of the Distillery District, buddy. Like, you see what I'm saying?
I don't. I thought that we're in a public place.
I'll make a call. Don't worry about it.
Okay, thank you. Well, that's odd. I mean, again, it's a continuing trend of the practice of journalism being shut down, at least when we go out to practice journalism. I might be wrong, but it looks like a public place, and we're outdoors, we're not inside anywhere. So until the police arrive, which is kind of de rigueur, we'll just continue asking people questions.
I don't. 2 points here, Sheila. One, it's the same people who hate the government 24/7 and think that everyone is corrupt. They're the same people that are first to say, "Put on your mask. Why can't you just follow the rules? This is why we're in it."
Yeah.
Secondly, I don't understand the concept behind, let's go kick this guy out who's just interviewing people. And make a scene by doing that. I guess the argument could be that he's driving away business, but I'm pretty sure when somebody says, I don't want to talk to you, to David Menzies, he doesn't run after them.
Yeah, I've got a couple of points to make. First of all, where's the snow? Where's your snow? Why don't you have any snow?
We have had so much for a day.
We have so much snow. I was out like snowmobiling with the kids over the weekend, actually doing something dangerous, pulling them on the hood of an old F-350 behind the snowmobile with a tow strap. Don't worry, though, we put rubber matting on top of it so nobody got hurt. Yeah, where's your snow? Also, if people could continue to watch that video, not now, but after we're done, tell me if you agree with me that those security guys, there's two that eventually come along. I think one's in administration, so you can imagine how exciting he is. And then the security guy, they're psychic vampires. I watched the whole unedited version of that because it's quite a long interaction and we spared the viewer that. But I felt like all my emotional and intellectual energy was just sucked right out of me with their just, I don't know what the right word is, simping. Maybe I'm not using that word right, but I just suffered through those guys. And good for David for not losing his cool because I had it with those guys, and I was just watching it after the fact. And the lady with the baby, I want to give her a job. She was great. She was awesome. And that's it. That's all I got.
It would be crumple up those snow-related notes, Sheila. I don't get it. There's people filming everywhere. There's security cameras.
Yeah.
And I don't get this when people record in stores either. And they're just like, no, you can't record in here like it's 1995. Just let them do it. Most people will be done in 5 minutes. And when you cause a ruckus or you have a big problem with it, that gives the person more content. They're not going to stay there if it's boring. Now, the funny part is that I shot 2 videos there last summer in the Distillery District. I did 2 laps of the place and shot 2 different videos. No security guards at all. Of course, this is pre-COVID. And there was even a homeless man on the street who yelled at me for filming and saying that I'm not allowed to film him because he probably wasn't homeless and he was doing like a bit to get change from people. But walked around here with a microphone and a cameraman for probably 3 hours. Nobody said it was private property. No security guards came out anywhere. And I know we need to cut back to us to do, I think that woman was pregnant, to do super chats before Justin yells at us. But yeah, I was there for 3 hours, not a problem. Nobody said this is private property, get out.
Well, and when you walk into these places, you realize, especially in stores, like there are surveillance cameras watching you. So why are they so uptight when we just turn the camera around on them for 5, 10, 15 minutes to talk to willing participants? It's not like we badger people, like you point out. We don't badger people if they don't want to talk to us and they're in the public just minding their own business. We leave them alone. We'll badger politicians, however, though, because it's their job to be accountable to the people. We should get to these super chats because Justin is going to have an aneurysm. Okay, Martin Sable. Martin Sable gives us $5. Doug must be so pleased with himself making JT happy with his own carbon scam. Yeah, things conservatives didn't campaign on. Think the progressive conservatives will be lucky to have 2 seats in 2022. I doubt Rob fans would be voting. Yeah, it's very sad to see the extinguishment of the high hopes we all had for Doug Ford. And he's doing it to himself. He didn't have to be this way. He could have been, more Jason Kenney-ish or more Scott Moe-ish, but he's absolutely not. It's
I would have to imagine that he probably still wins re-election, just the Liberal Party gets a lot more seats back. Because the people who like Doug Ford now, who he is pandering to, the media class and hardcore liberals who think everyone's dying in the streets, they're still not going to vote for him. So he's going to lose votes. People might go back to Liberal. People might go to any one of the other given parties. Maybe they'll vote for the Cara Halios party. What's it called again? The Blue Party? Party of Blue? Their theme song should be the song Blue from the 90s. Let's be honest here.
I bet they could get that really cheap these days, by the way. Kane and Mark gives us $5. We should hold a bet. Who will be first to celebrate Thanksgiving? Trudeau, Ford, Dr. Tam, Pelosi, AOC, Schumer, Joe, Cuomo. Haha, fun times. You know what? Why don't you super chat us your answers? Who do you think is going to be the first person to hold Thanksgiving in the United States? Because Thanksgiving's past for here.
DeSantis or Cruz. One of the places that are wide open.
Yeah, Ted Cruz, he tweeted a picture of a turkey and said, come and take it.
And if people don't get what that reference is Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, issued an ordinance of some sort of directive to find out who has purchased turkeys that are over 10 pounds, and they will be using that to see who is breaking the rules, even though he broke the rules not too long after. Yes, producer Justin's asking me if it's real. I'm at least half sure that it's real. But he did get caught, and they did stop places from selling turkeys over 10 pounds to try to dissuade people from buying turkeys and having large gatherings. Another person that just got caught was, I think it was the mayor of Waterloo. Justin, find that for me if I'm wrong. Hours after, it was a CBC story as well, hours after saying that this is no joke, he's caught in a restaurant breaking his own rules. So maybe that should be a bet. I think we have a bounty out on catching these people breaking their own bets, but CBC has enough money. They got $1 billion this year, Sheila. Surely you're happy about that.
Yeah, oh God, I love I love all the good things they're doing with the money that we give them and all the hard work that CBC is doing.
They've got
I think
their five female sketch comedy show. They've got their teen drama called Pen 15. They've got so many riveting programs. It's hard to put down my CBC Gem app.
I didn't even know the app was called CBC Gem until they picked a fight with Western Standard for making fun of them and tried to sue the Western Standard for that. Okay, great. It was Windsor.
There.
Windsor mayor breaks COVID restrictions at restaurant just hours after urging zero tolerance. Drew Dilkins said the dinner was an, quote, unfortunate error. Yeah, I bet it was. Look at all those happy people having drinks.
It's okay for them, Sheila.
Right. COVID only gets us unwashed masses. You have to remember that. You have to remember that. You know, like I'm fit, I'm healthy, I'm active, I exercise every day, I eat well. But, you know, a bunch of politicians who are just walking heart disease and diabetes, it's perfectly fine for them to gather in these places together because politics, obviously.
We all make mistakes. Each and every Canadian.
Yeah, that's right. Martin Sable gives us $5. Menzies looks younger today.
Well,
Which one of us needs glasses,
19,
Martin? Wonder what exotic island JT will jet off to while preaching to stay at home along with Zoom Christmas, Rebel Truly, Only Real Media. Yeah, I bet you he sneaks away. Maybe to, he likes to go to Tofino, BC. And I know on the island, they're sort of having they want to move to a bubble on Vancouver Island, but I'm sure they'll make an exception for our deeply hypocritical prime minister to go out there.
Maybe
they love him out there.
Go with the AgaCon again, take a sweet free helicopter ride, and give them another government contract. We got the museum in Toronto, the AgaCon Museum. If people don't know about that, that's because Justin Trudeau's father rescued a bunch of people for the AgaCon in the 70s. And ever since then, they've just been friendly and been giving them hundreds of millions of dollars worth of government contracts. It's no problem. There's no conflict of interest. Oh, except for the fact that he was convicted of having conflict of interest. Sheila, it's a wonderful world we live in.
Yeah, it's good work if you can get it. Like Justin Trudeau's grifter wife calling the AgaCon to book the private island. Don't worry if the AgaCon's not there. And don't worry that Justin Trudeau hasn't really been friends with the family in, 2 or 3 decades. It's no conflict of interest when the government's giving the AgaCon Foundation a bunch of handouts. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. Before I go on, might I suggest, there's already, I think, 1,428 of you watching right now. Would you mind just giving this stream a thumbs up? It helps us in the YouTube algorithm. It costs you nothing, but it helps us a lot. It'll help other people find us and see the good work that we do, because I think most of you are like watching us because you want to and not hate watching for me and Jen to find me and Andrew saying something stupid. So if you wouldn't mind giving us a thumbs up, just increasing that thumbs up count, and maybe even being so kind as to share the stream so that more people can find us. Thank you.
People were coming to see if I'm as harsh as you as I am on David. Writer Margaret told me to be nice, and I said I'm always nice to Sheila. David just deserves it. That's all I can say.
David is he just throws him right over the plate, doesn't he? So it's hard, to just, you swing the bat and crack it over the fence. I can't help it. He does it. He sets me up perfectly. I can't help it. What am I supposed to do?
I can only deal with so many pop culture references from the 60s without letting him get away with it.
No, I know. And you know what? We're 40 minutes into the show, and neither one of us has referenced The Undertaker retiring after 30 years over the weekend.
As much wrestling as you want, Sheila. I'm a big Owen Hart guy when I was younger. The Hart family is cursed, unfortunately, but I always loved them. They have great stories. We could go on about this for days, but Undertaker is finally making the rounds on the internet shows that he wasn't allowed to do for 30 years? He had to stay in character at all times. So, and remember when he was ginger when he first came out. Never forget.
Yep, never forget. Yeah, 30 years. And I saw Ted DiBiase did like a farewell video, because I think Ted DiBiase was the guy who first introduced him on his very first match when he came out in character for the very first time as the Undertaker. And Ted DiBiase had a very nice like farewell to him, and they've both found Jesus, and I thought it was kind of nice. Anyways,
Ted
I know.
DiBiase came to my high school when I was in high school. Shout out O'Neill CVI and Oshawa, everybody, alumni. Am I the best person to ever come out of that school? Only time will tell.
We've got a while to figure that one out. Okay, let's keep going. Wolfcat Wildcat gives us $15. Thank you very much. If you phone the White House, you're going through at least 3 people screening your call. Gosh, I hope so. Liard Kintyre gives us $2. The grief I feel for pre-COVID days is unbearable. I can relate somewhat, but I live a pretty still pre-COVID life, and I think that has to do with being in Alberta where lockdown isn't as bad, but also that I'm not a town person. I bet it's really hard on people who live in town. I'm just not. I avoid town at all costs anyway. I just don't like town. I don't like going there unless I need groceries or something. But for people whose lives were like going out, eating out, going to movies, going to the mall, whatever, pretty big culture shock. Am I right? I don't know.
For sure. I don't know how the teenagers survive with going to the mall. Both of my brothers live out in the middle of nowhere. One of them lives out in the East Coast. He's happy. One of them lives further up north in Ontario. He's happy. I can't see their lives changing too much. But then again, they probably seek out trouble being my brothers. So who knows? I have not had much of a problem. I've only had to boycott one place, and that was at the beginning of the lockdown. I was at a superstore, and somebody was cutting in line, and we were all upset about it. And the manager let them cut in line and said, "Calm down, everyone. We're in a crisis. We're in a pandemic. We're all trying our best." And I was like, you got to kick them out of the line. You got to make a call here. It's like a referee in a game. You can't just come in and be like, "Oh, no, I'm not making a call here," after somebody high sticks somebody in the face, causing blood. Yep. That's a 4-minute penalty, everybody. Sorry if anyone's from the U.S. and not understanding this. Cutting somebody gets twice the amount of penalty. So I was just basically like, I'm never coming back here. And I haven't, Sheila. You should be proud of me.
That's good. You know what? Let your wallet do the talking. MEC gives us $2. Thank you for your report on Manitoba, Rebel. Yeah, I've got a big, big, big problem with Premier Brian Pallister. Campaigned as a Conservative. I can't see him doing anything different than the NDP would have done there. And this disgusting victims list that they publish on the government website and brag about it. Well, now we know exactly who to help, or at least who to try to help. I mean, they're fining people $5,000, these bars that are already, struggling, fining them for allowing people to dance. I mean,
no dancing allowed.
No dancing.
Taliban did that, Sheila. No dancing.
Yeah, no dancing, no singing, closing churches, closing Christian churches, not permitting singing. I mean, just, it's worse than the town from Footloose, and, roping off parts of the grocery store. Like, you can only buy, you can buy shampoo, but you can't buy makeup. And for some of us, makeup is essential. Like, I'm sorry. I don't even know what's going on in Manitoba. It's terrible, and we're going to help them. And again, folks at home, please stay tuned. We've got stories coming out of Manitoba coming, and we've got another Fight the Fines case from the prairies that's coming that is absolutely going to blow your mind. If you'd like to see all of our work on that, please go to fightthefines.com. And if you'd like to help, donate, because we are amassing a legal team, just legal infrastructure to help as many people as possible. You can donate to help make this country more free at fightthefines.com.
Yeah, Justin, can you bring that up while I mention that you need to push back on some... In the name of fighting crime, they tend to go too far. I remember 5 or so years ago where I live, the police started trying to publish names of people who not necessarily had DUIs, but either refused to do a breathalyzer or had, the minimal there where you get your license suspended for 24 hours. Some people support stuff like that, but most people think that you can't just publish people's names if they have not been convicted of a crime in a court of law. So we've got Fight the Fines Canada, we've got fightthefines.co.uk, I believe, or you can just go to .uk. We have so many easy ways to get there. And then fightthefines.com.au, as Aussie Aussie Yemeni, I almost called him. Avi Yemeni would call it. Everybody loves Avi. You can't get around it. Even I'm seeing other YouTubers being mistaken for Avi. I saw a YouTuber named Elad in New York, or he was in Washington, and one of the Proud Boys thought he was Avi. So Avi's everywhere, Sheila. Like City TV News used to be in Toronto, is their phrase for anybody who's grown up in the 90s. Not me, I'm only 19.
Ugh, the 90s. That was half my life ago. I was a mom in the 90s. It's funny, though. Our Fight the Fines work is making a difference. It's causing the police, I think, to back off. And not in Manitoba yet, but that's going to come. We're going to cause a chill to flow across their little ticket books there. But we have won quite a few cases. Walter Matheson being a prime example, I bet they didn't want us to show up to those court dates because we were going to cover it like the OJ trial. I would have been Nancy Grace.
Didn't fit, Sheila, come on.
So hopefully we can help some people in Manitoba and make that place a little more free. Boy, it sure irks me how they're going after the Mennonite communities there. But anyway, we should get to more of these super chats. Oh my goodness, we have 14 minutes left in the show. I know. Yorgi or Georgie. I don't know. Send me an email. I've been either saying your name right or wrong for months now. $5. Sheila could do a Lens Crafters commercial. Just saying hi. You know what? I'm not opposed to a Lens Crafters sponsorship. I think I have about 10 pairs of glasses. I leave them all over the place. I'm not kind to them. I scratch them up. So I just keep ordering more online.
Do they have Hakeem Optical in Alberta?
Yeah, we do. But I'd like to do, again, I don't like town. So I just go online.
Tell by the way you just call it town.
Town.
I picture you going in a horse-drawn carriage there.
I very rarely go to Edmonton. To be honest with you, I will go to Fort Saskatchewan or another bedroom community of Edmonton, Sherwood Park. It's not really a bedroom community.
What's a bedroom community? These terms I'm not familiar with.
Bedroom community is where you sleep, but you work in Edmonton. So, it's not really a suburb.
Here.
Yeah, they're bedroom communities. It's like where you don't want to live in Edmonton because who does? So you live outside where the taxes are a little lower and you go and work in Edmonton.
Justin sent me the Gavin Newsom thing about the turkeys from 10 pounds.
And is it real?
If he wants to pull that up pretty quickly. Oh, it's from a parody site, he's saying now.
Well, they got you.
They didn't get me, they got the person who shared it with me. So there it is. They're not actually taking turkeys. I mean, they should. Those greedy bastards. Sheila, what's the biggest turkey you've ever cooked?
I was actually upset for the farmer that, you lovingly grow and fatten up your turkeys, and then the government says, oh, your turkeys are too big. That's terrible. No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, but it could have been in California.
I've never cooked a turkey.
Really?
No, I don't want to deal with the innards.
Oh. Innards don't bother me.
It's funny. I was trained to kill, but I don't want to deal with the insides of a turkey.
It doesn't bother me at all. Anyways, let's keep going. By the way, Andrew, could you do me an Alex Jones impression? Yorgi asks.
Yes, we can. Pull up the Rebel News store, Justin, please. It's got to be over the store. It's a classic trope that we deal with here. Ezra Levant hosted a portion of the Alex Jones show recently. If you want to go back to their website and view that, I thought it was pretty good. Here we have the Rebel News store. Get your MAGA Canada shirts, your uniodized toothpaste, or with the iodine put back in. No fluoride in that. We've got new shirts here. We've got Make Canada Great Again shirts. You have to give it to the Patriots. They're giving it all they've got. Hold the line. Stop the steal. The Patriots are moving in. Stand by and stand back. RebelNewsStore.com, everybody.
Store's looking good, by the way.
It is.
It's looking really good. I think Alex Jones wants us to have iodine, though. I don't think he has non-iodized toothpaste.
Yeah, you just throw in the buzzwords, Sheila, and it creates the same effect. No fluoride, definitely. If you want to look up fluoride, anybody, that's an interesting story. It's not good. It's not good for you. It's like an aluminum runoff.
No, stop. Stop. We're not going down that road. Okay, Viking Insane gives us $2. I appreciate your hard work. Thanks, Rebel News. Thank you. And Crazy gives us $5. Talking about letting oneself go. Can someone get Teresa Tam, a hairstylist and makeup artist?
I think we just replace her with Ben Bankus, is what the...
Yes. I noticed that somebody is sharing Ben Bankus videos like completely natively from, I think maybe TikTok directly to my Facebook. Just one of my friends who didn't realize that Ben works with us. Solid as a b-ball, $5. Struggles of a Black Canadian conservative. Max demonizing immigrants and conservatives thinking police are infallible while they enforce lockdowns. Look, we don't think police are infallible at all. And I definitely don't demonize immigrants. I think we do need to look at our immigration levels. But frankly, I'm pretty pro-immigration, and actually I'm pro-refugee, but real refugees. And I think there should be prioritization in the refugee queue for people who are facing persecution, like the Christians in the Middle East. Look, we fight with cops all the time. And I'm hard on bad cops because I think they taint the work of good cops. That's what I think. Andrew, got anything to add?
I do. We have to, when cops are unlawfully doing things or locking people down or doing silly things, we have to condemn the bad ones. Or if they're committing crimes upon the arrest of people, then we must condemn them. But overall, there's hundreds of thousands of cops out there. If you don't believe in condemning a whole group of people based on a few individuals, then you shouldn't do it there either. Antifa, Black Lives Matter, all your martyrs are, I won't say all, 99% of them are criminals with terrible records. And we can go through the list, but that's for another time, I feel like, Sheila. Justin won't like me doing that.
I know. Yeah. No, we don't believe in collective guilt. Dr. Essex gives us $5. Has the food vector been tested and ruled out in long-term care? I don't know. But the thing with long-term care facilities that really irks me in all of this is that long-term care facilities are every single year, the flu tears through them and kills old people. And so you think we would have figured out better infectious disease protocols earlier than this, earlier than the coronavirus, since the flu has been doing this for decades, years, since the beginning of the flu, it's been killing old people. And so why just now are we trying to figure out how to control the spread of infectious diseases in long-term care facilities? This seems like something we should have addressed decades ago.
You know, a lot of the stuff seems to only come up when there's some sort of suspicious level of suspiciousness or conspiratorial level to it. I mean, the same thing can go for election fraud in the United States. Surely some of this stuff's been going on for at least 20 years. Dead people on voter rolls, like on The Simpsons. I always remember the name Aaron A. Aronson, who died in 1908. Yeah. But apparently it takes, in order for the media to kick into overdrive about something, there needs to be some people they can demonize so that we're forced to shift the window into asking these questions. But just not the people who ask the questions. It's got to be the media who solves it, Sheila. It's got to be CBC and their hard work with your dollars and the Pen 15 show or whatever it's called.
I've never seen that show. I feel like I should watch it for research purposes, but trust me, I've got young people in my house, and I can't imagine that they would ever watch it.
Just
so I can't even
the old Degrassi for them over and over again.
Yes.
This is how Drake started, you guys.
That's the second old Degrassi. I go back to the first old Degrassi with like Joey Jeremiah.
Yes.
Yes. See, Justin's with me. Okay, let's keep going. MEC gives us $5. Pallister has some outside help, apparently, and then you send me a link to someone's Twitter account, but I can't open it in this app, but I promise MEC I will open it after we're done and have a peekaboo into that. Thank you. Bill Howie gives us $5. Iveson is leaving. Yes, Edmonton Mayor John Iveson just voted for a 13-month extension to the mask mandate because science. And then he's just pulling the chute, not running again, so he doesn't get to face the wrath of voters at the ballot box. But anyway, that's cowardly. Bill Howie goes on to say Sheila should run for mayor of Edmonton.
That's a good idea, Sheila, for office. I mentioned in a recent video, Tito Ortiz won city council in Huntington Beach, California. Sheila
Kane.
Ortiz could be.
Kane, the wrestler, is also,
Yes.
A politician. So, there's something to be said for us rough around the edges folks. But no, I would
Jesse
never run for
Ventura?
office.
Are you a big Jesse Ventura fan?
I was until he demonized the widow of fallen hero. I like his craziness.
He eventually, I'll work on that impression as well. It's a work in progress. I've done it once on David's show. I'll work on it. It's all around him not getting access to places. I was a Navy SEAL, Sheila. How come I'm not allowed to see it? We'll work on that.
Gosh. Even if you lose, it would be great publicity for Rebel. I'm sure you'd get lots of campaign money. My solution for Edmonton is to District 9 it. I don't know if anybody has seen that video or that movie,
Are you
District 9.
suggesting that we should have alien hybrids in Edmonton?
No, that's who's living in Edmonton. They're completely alien to the rest of the province, and we should just build a fence. Well, just build a fence, keep them in there. When the rest of us leave, that's fine. And we'll just call it Toronto West and problem solved. We're
Those
done.
might be the worst aliens that are ever in any movie. They're basically like junk planet refugees. And they brought terrible technology with them and just squatted in South Africa, I believe it was.
In squalor. They have all this high technology, but they're living in shanty shacks. I just didn't believe it. It wasn't a good movie, but I see some overlays with
the guy
my
who does
feelings
those
about
movies is the same one who did Chappie, I believe, and Elysium. He's always got this environmental refugee message. Unfortunately, he gets good actors in his movies like Matt Damon. I'm told that super chats are more important than Matt Damon, Sheila. I'm sorry.
Sorry, we just had to keep it real because usually David has the bad pop culture reference.
Wow,
but today
so Matt Damon
me.
is outside of the realm of references now. I get it, Sheila, okay?
No, I'm talking about District 9. It's somewhat vague. I know. Proud Boys Calgary gives us $6.99 marching for freedom this Saturday at 1 p.m. at Calgary City Hall. Join the drinking club with a Patriot problem, proudboyscalgary.com. If I can get there, I will be there because there was a pretty frisky turnout also down there over the weekend.
What's a frisky turnout mean?
There was a lot of people down there and it was kind of cold. It was 4 hours away, so I didn't make it. But I should be. I'll do my best to get there. And Crazy gives us $5. Thank you all for speaking out. I don't understand why more people aren't fed up, disgusted, and bored with this rubbish happening. Yeah, me too. There's a lot of people who are like, I'll just wear a mask. It's fine. I'll just wear a mask. I do all things in protest. Sometimes I don't want to fight with minimum wage workers who are suddenly turned into bylaw officers. They didn't sign up for this either. But I make it clear that I'm doing all things in protest. I don't enjoy any of it, and I won't play by the rules until someone is forced to ask me to do it.
I'm starting to feel like the people who have the most problem with it are the people who aren't losing money by being locked down or are getting money from the government for the lockdown and don't have to work.
Yeah. All the people who are like, Jason Kenney's a fascist, but why won't he lock things down? And it's
but stop people from having freedom.
Pick a lane, weirdos. Observer Dude gives us £5. Have you found out who the thug is who broke David's microphone? We've got a pretty good lead. I'm not quite sure if we're 100% solid, but as soon as we have something to announce on that front, we'll let you know. I promise. Robert Fraser gives us $5. Ignorance is fixable. Stupidity is not. Okay. Solid as a B-ball gives us $2. Boycott provincial pressers. It's good for the soul. Yeah, they give me a great deal of anxiety watching politicians. Watching politicians try, at least in Alberta, you're watching them get defensive with the media who wants to lock everybody down. All the questions are like, when are you locking down? When are you closing this? What are you going to do about this? What are you going to do about that? And the politicians in Alberta are like, we're going to take targeted measures. We don't know what those targeted measures mean yet. But the media is really pushing for this lockdown. So I don't know why. What they're tuning into the press conferences in their underpants, probably from home. Nothing is going to change for them, but they're really cheering for a lot of other people to be out of work. And it's gross to watch. Viking Insane gives us $2. JT can visit Uncle Raul in Cuba for Thanksgiving. Do they have Thanksgiving in Cuba? I don't know. Robert Fraser gives us $5. Did anyone see Rosemary Barton of CBC roast Brian Pallister about the pandemic response? Brian gets pretty tense. Why? Was she saying that he's not doing enough?
I would assume so. I try not to watch or read anything she does.
Yeah, I avoid it unless someone makes me watch it. Proud Boys Calgary gives us $2.79. Thank you, Undertaker. Good part of my childhood. Me too. Mike Mayer gives us $5. Hi, Mike. That's Mike from People versus Predators. The government keeps using COVID to empty the prisons. Keep fighting the good fight, rebels. Isn't that crazy? They're letting all the people out of prison, and you have these like civil liberties associations who are not doing anything to help the churches who are being closed because of the pandemic, advocating on behalf of convicted criminals or sex offenders to let them out of prison, when you would think that, you know, they want to stick the rest of us in isolation facilities. Why don't we just call prison an isolation facility and it's perfectly safe now all of a sudden?
The idea that releasing people from jail to keep them safe while endangering other people has to only be explained by that they don't want to cover the medical costs of people getting sick inside the prison.
Isn't it funny how you and I are safer on house arrest, but the prisoners are safer when they're just roaming the streets? Yes. It's weird. Donna Carter gives us $5. Pear-shaped character lifting some weights, saying keep it up. Thank you very much. Gary Hendricks gives us $5. No super chat. Thank you. Jane Bray, $5. My new hobby, going on Facebook local news and stating actual stats, wearing a Trump hat. Trump derangement syndrome meets COVID derangement syndrome. Yeah, I bet you've triggered a few and had your Facebook page reported several times. Gary Hendricks gives us $5. Is it true that some two-faced leaders in the USA will be eating crow for Thanksgiving? I'm not sure. Things are unfolding quite quickly over the next few days and over the past couple of days with regard to elections results. So I'm not sure. Martin Sable gives us $5. My daughter is 16 and 4 people in her class left jobs at No Frills in July, saying they do not pay us enough to ask about mask BS. I don't like these minimum wage workers having to be bylaw officers. I don't like it at all. It makes me angry.
And I know at least in the Loblaws superstore genre of stores, I forget what the overarching company is for them, but they had their pandemic raise and then it got taken away, I think, like 2 months ago when everybody thought COVID was over. I'm wondering if they'll get the money back because the companies are still going to keep making more money as people, you know. I saw a person the other day buying like 60 things of toilet paper again. There's no limits on them now, this time around, but like, take a break, lady. Like, come on. And I saw one person not wearing a mask in Walmart. And as soon as I saw her walk by, I saw an old lady running up to her husband being like, that woman's not even wearing a mask. There's no confrontation of that from what I would see. Shout out, lady in the grocery store.
Keep fighting for freedom, grocery store lady. I don't know what the rules are in Ontario, but in Alberta, you can, if you go to the pub or whatever, you have to put a mask on to walk to your booth.
Yes.
And then you sit down, and then the virus doesn't get you. And then they just put these.
Over.
It just goes, and then they put on these new restrictions that, like now, last call is at 10, and you have to be out of the pub by 11. So if Sheila's ordering her Fireball at 10:05, I'm going to die of the COVID. Like none of it makes any sense.
The worst
whatsoever.
Drink from Alberta is a prairie fire. You always got to get the person who hasn't had it to have it and ruin their night.
Yeah, and they're tomorrow.
Just taste Tabasco sauce all night. Is that it for Super Chats, Sheila?
We've got one more.
Okay.
Olga Yenny or Olga Jenny? Again, email me. I'm probably saying that wrong. At least 50% of the time I'm saying it wrong. Christian Freeland sits on the board of trustees at the World Economic Forum. Conflict of interest, I'd say. These people don't care about conflict of interest. Theresa Tam is one of the 7 advisors to the World Health Organization, and she's making decisions for all of Canada with regard to health. So, I mean, these people absolutely don't care what global organization they're part of because they just don't care. There's no consequences for them. What are they going to get? $300 slap on the wrist? Big deal.
Well, the Windsor mayor will not be fined. He's making a donation instead. So we do have a video on Chrystia Freeland and George Soros that you can go watch if you want to type that in. But I believe that's it for the day. Producer JT, tell me if that's it. That's it, he says. Yes. Thank you, Sheila Gunn-Reid on the West. Shout out to David Menzies and Lincoln, the Navigator, who are out there today. Shout out to Nicole. Shout out to anyone else who's watching us. Thank you for your super chats. Sheila, final words?
Thank you, everybody, for your super chats. And you know what? I heard that you guys are probably going to have a delicious barbecue freedom lunch from an underground restaurant, and I'm very excited for you guys.
It's just like Prohibition era.
I'm going to go upstairs and eat some pepperoni over the sink.
What are you, Monica from Friends?
Basically.
Okay. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.